Butch Hartman, devoted Christian man and animator at Hollywood, gifted by the hands of God. God came to Butch Hartman, asking him to create a Christianity version of Netflix. Butch Hartman answered. Butch Hartman demanded people to give him money for Christianity version of Netflix. The people have answered. They generously give him money for it. Butch Hartman finally reached his goal, thus completing God's request and will. There are heathens out there that claim that Butch Hartman had committed a foul act of fraud, thus going against God's rules. That's where I come in. I am here to smite all heretics that go against God's will, and will be robust and without mercy. So, I came out of my man cave hearing Pie Guy Rule's Trace Hunting friend proclaim that Butch Hartman wanted to indoctrinate people into Christianity, especially kids, with his Oraxis whatever streaming service that he has. Not only lying, telling people to either get in his low or shut the fuck up. So lads, we are dealing with Butch Hartman, devoted cultist man, connoisseur of Kool-Aid. The worst part of it all is, it's cherry flavor Kool-Aid, everyone's favorite flavor. Welcome to the cartoon community, where we artistically screech over the most ridiculous bullshit and take things way out of context. Before we remove the moral spooks of Pie Guy Rules, our dear friend Kristen Mayhem with his triple IQ tweet post about Butch Hartman being a total hack because you can't criticize if you don't create anything.
Figure this out.
And you said you normally write your theme songs. Like,
someone says, "What do I think of the Oaxis Family Guy meme?" Oh, I'm not even going to look at it because it's the question's being asked by Dueling Duelist True. I'm not even going to look at it, and I don't care. Because you know why? Whenever you put yourself out there to do anything, there's always someone that's going to like try and bring you down because they've never done anything on their own. And so if someone wants to do something and they want to ask me questions like that, that's one thing. But if someone doesn't do anything and they want to, like, you know, I don't know, criticize, then I have no time for them. No time for them. So the person that asked that question, whose name will not be mentioned ever by my lips, I just want to tell all people like that, as I get back to safety here, that if you guys can't do it yourselves, you shouldn't criticize anybody else. You really shouldn't. Now, another cartoonist wants to have a problem with me or whatever, that's a different story. But at least somebody who's actually done something I'll talk to or talk about.
Speaking of theme songs.
Theme songs.
Normally,
you know what's funny? Wait, I want to say one more thing.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
as many things I've done in my life, like being a father, being a husband, being a you know, a guy who's in his 50s who's done, or a boss, a guy who's done shows, a guy who's stayed up late at night working really hard, to answer questions from people who've never done anything and they want to criticize. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. It's like, really, that's your question? So it's quite amusing, actually. So good luck out there trying to get a rise out of me, because you never will. You don't get a rise out of me, though, is this game!
Seeing that people had misconstrued the message of him being a complete dipshit, it's not like that. I'm sure that Butch Hartman is conveying that don't drag someone down into the shithole because you convince yourself to go down in the shithole and convince yourself that you're a piece of shit. Yeah, have your cake, interpret it as your own. And now, for the grand finale, Pie Guy Rules versus Butch Hartman.
I know I'm supposed to be done talking about Butch Hartman. I know you guys. I know you're sick of hearing it, and to be honest, I'm getting a little sick of covering it.
You and your goons that set Butch Hartman's reputation on fire, you might as well finish the job.
From the start, Oaxis was meant to be a Christian streaming service to instill Christian values in children. Butch Hartman is trying to indoctrinate your kids. And I'm not mad that he wants to make a Christian streaming service. I don't care. He can do that.
Come on now, Pai Gairu. Don't associate Butch Hartman as a cultist. Perhaps, if you've been paying attention to his YouTube channel, he's been talking about how God is able to give him willpower to overcome the toughest endeavor they have to face, like raising a family, getting a job at an animator in Hollywood, and able to retire from Nickelodeon to start a streaming service.
It really did come as a blessing from God into my life. It's been an amazing time. Definitely there is hard work. We have to do our part for sure. There's a scripture in the Bible that says faith without works is dead, meaning you can have all the faith in the world and all the belief in the world that you want to do something, but unless you put work behind it and put that effort into it, it's not going to come to pass. So you've got to do your part as well. So I know God plays a big role in my life. I really believe there's a lot of amazing circumstances that have happened in my career that a lot of other people haven't experienced, and I'm truly grateful. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to Nickelodeon for giving me all the opportunities they've given me.
What's disgusting about all of this is that not once in his campaign, not in any of the videos he made on his channel about this, was he honest and did he disclose the fact that this is a religious thing. The first time he actually mentions that it's going to have Christian values was in a live stream he did just before Oaxis reached its funding that not a lot of people saw. And yet, after he reached his goal in his second live stream, oh, it was all, thank God for giving me this, and I knew God had a vision for me. It was pretty much non-stop discussion of God and religion. Again, I don't have a problem with Butch being a religious person, but he intentionally hid this to get your money. That's what is going on, and he's continuing to intentionally hide this because he doesn't want people to know this, because he knows that if people know this, they're going to be incredibly hesitant about this streaming service. Yes, of course, all media has messages, and no, honestly, there isn't anything wrong with some of the messages in the Bible. But it's one thing to have morals and to have ideas infused in your shows. It's another thing to go into your entire streaming platform with a very politicized, very religious agenda and then not even tell people about it when you're taking their money. And since Butch has been talking about this at seminars for a while, that's where the big money has come in. Butch wanted your money first because he knew that he could get it funded on the backs of religious people.
There's a good reason why Butch Hartman didn't immediately disclose the information from the get-go, primarily because he didn't feel he was obligated to do so. Plus, why would he prioritize his focus on exclusively only Christian family that's only limiting his business, given that the Christian family is the main demographic? I'm pretty sure that Butch Hartman has been around the blocks too many times, so I can assure you that he'll focus on non-Christian family too. You're better off actually following the process of this set product before passing any judgment.
There is no way that Butch is alright with LGBT people, and if that's the case, he needed to be honest about that.
Given that I never actually heard Butch Hartman saying anything against the LGBT community, if that were the case, it's best to actually reason with him rather to harass the fuck out of him.
At 9:14, Butch talks about how much kids are on their phones and tablets these days. Which, okay, he's got a decent point there, but then he goes and ruins it because this whole thing is about a streaming service. If your argument is that kids need to spend less time on their tablets, why are you going to make something that when used correctly will encourage kids to use their tablet more?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps one of those Roku TVs? I heard they have streaming servers inside of them, or one of those big old tablets.
At 10 minutes in, Butch talks about Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix, and he mentions that they do have kids sections, but you see, the reason why Oaxis needs to exist, according to Butch, the reason why Netflix Kids isn't good enough is because apparently the rest of these companies have smutty content on their main site and they're profiting off of the smutty content. And then at 10:30 in this video, Butch Hartman does something disgusting. He says, word for word, when I grew up, kids had a hard time, they got through it. Suicide was never even thought about. Where's that coming from? But to blame kids having depression and being suicidal on them seeing a horror movie is just insane, and it completely ignores the fact that the reason why there aren't as many of these cases in the past are because we just, as a society, didn't have as good a grasp on understanding what was going on. Depression has existed forever. There was literally a time in the past called the Great Depression. And the idea that Butch is trying to downplay science and try to use people who are suffering from legitimate mental illnesses to prove his point to fund his crappy, manipulative idea is beyond repugnant.
Of course, at face value, you could say that Butch Hartman is way too autistically devoted to his own religion. However, I could suggest that making buzzword statement like that and demonizing the media is the type of shit that many Christians are willing to eat up. Unfortunately, I haven't been in the Christianity community in a long time. Perhaps someone who had experience in that community can tell me in the comment section below, say if my statements are legitimate or not.
He knows that when he targets people on his YouTube videos, in his Oaxis Kickstarter, he knows that there's a decent chunk of his audience that aren't Christian. You can't say that this whole thing is about making Christian content for Christian families. No, he is intentionally trying to get non-Christians into his religion by lying about this whole thing. By lying about it. He is trying to take your money and not being honest about what it's for and what's actually going on.
Like I said before, why would he focus on one main demographic where he could acquire as many demographics as possible? Perhaps the true intention behind this Kickstarter was to acquire as many families as possible. This includes non-Christian families. Plus, don't assume that he's just here to take your money and convert you to Christianity.
If you're an LGBT person who donated to his Kickstarter, I am very sorry. I am sincerely sorry that this happened. Similarly, if you're someone else that doesn't believe in Butch's beliefs and you're not really interested in spreading them around some more, I'm also sorry if you donated.
Yeah, I would like to tip my Fedora in sincere apology to all those blue-haired ladies and all those smart atheists.
Well, lol JK, this is actually about trying to get kids to become atheists. Because it's not even really that he's like lying straight up, it's that he's lying by omission. He's been manipulative and vague about all of this so that he can still look like a good guy to people who don't actually look into this story. And that is super dangerous. That's how people get away with really awful things, because they're sneaky about it. And they know that although some people will find them out, most people won't take the time to look into the story and assume that people are just hating on someone.
I look into the story. It seems as though you're just whining about how Butch Hartman used clever marketing tactics to get a large audience to donate for his Kickstarter.
If you are a religious person and you're watching this video, I have no problem with you. I really don't. As long as you're a kind person to all, as long as you don't lie to people, as long as you're upfront when you're preaching your belief system, right? As long as you understand and acknowledge there are other beliefs out there, and you should not try to deceitfully impress your beliefs on other people and other people's children, mind you. This is specifically, especially for children.
Yes, please understand that he's an atheist, so clearly he has no understanding how marketing works. There's a possibility of you getting jack shit money and possibility of getting castrated, but good on you being honest. What the fuck? I love church now. This is some high quality autism, if you ask me. Throughout this whole charade of a drama, Pie Guy Ruling Friend has been accusing Butch Hartman with being a cultist, manipulation, fraud, and basically them having no understanding how marketing works. But you know what? It fucking works. Everyone out of their fucking grandma had either lost respect for him or wanted a head on a stick, who in reality did nothing wrong. He's only guilty of a few minor crimes.